Hello and welcome back to the Cult of Diana. Now, in the last episode, Diana stopped two young nations from fighting and then adopted the dead horses and sorrows as her children. In this episode, I'm going to turn my focus east and I'm going to begin taking back the northern claim states I have in Colorado. But to make things look a bit prettier, my first target is going to be the luminous ones. So just a fire on them, 125 days until that kicks off. Now I did also pick up a geck in the previous episode, and I have decided to use it on dead horses point. Frankly, because there's nothing there already, so it'll be a good example to show just how effective it can be. If I could just find dead horses point here again. There we are. So in 90 days I'll be getting all of these building slots, factories, infrastructure and resources. Okay, now as for my first focus of this episode, I am going to be going for the Poseidon Age relics. Poseidon's energy position is one of America's dominant energy companies, allowed it to hoard precious technological resources and groundbreaking research in an age of growing scarcity. The company may be long gone, but their treasures still remain intact and ripe for our utilization. They'll give me 25 of, I think that's components to the Eastern Grand Canyon. And now I can get started. So with Poseidon Age relics completed, the next one I'm going to go is Family Lost. I opened this up after getting the event towards the end of the last episode. Some of our scouts have found a nearby pre-war facility that Argos claims Greenway had connections to before he departed. But seeing as the place in question is nothing more than a blackened crater, facility may be too generous of a term. However, there is always more than meets the naked eye. I'll get at the event a Molten Grave. And I have decided, now that focus is done, that I am going to hand some land over to the sorrows, just like I gave Crazy Horns over to the dead horses. So I'm going to go both the both the Western and Eastern Grand Canyon, as well as Cottonwood Canyon. So sorrows will actually have a route all the way around, and I'm going to send it over to there. So that land is now all belongs to the sorrows, and I can carry on towards the next focus. A Molten Grave. With the guidance of the faithful Argos scouts and robots serving the tribe, have been sent deep into the chasms of facility out to the west, which Argos has stated has a connection to Greenway's past. The whole facility, once a grand monument to pre-war engineering, is now a twisting, burned-out crater. Although the direct terminals, data recovery, and the account of Argos, the scouts were able to paint a picture as to what happened here. The facility, Tippett's Prison, was in its heyday an cold, sterile, steel-walled automated prison facility run by technology so ancient it dates back to years before the Great War, nearly 200 years ago. It was a facility designed to hold and protect some of the world's most dangerous criminals, military and otherwise, before the war. Tippett's Prison has its roots dating back at least to the 19th century. Sure. In the 2040s, Tippett served an important role in the development of the Vault program, before the federal Vault program was privatized and when it was known as the Federal Safe House Project. Tibbets was used to test whether man could survive in isolation for extended periods of time, something that was necessary to learn to understand the feasibility of whether the Safe House project could work. Originally in the federal Safe House project, all of the vaults would have been orchestrated and managed by a single overseer, artificial intelligence known as Ulysses, an AI developed by a contractor company known as Greenway Hydroponics. That's where Diana used to work. This would change after the Safe House project was privatized. The newly made Vault-Tec, feeling that there wasn't as much need for a managerial government-funded AI to oversee the private vaults program. Instead, the board felt that select individuals could serve the roles of overseer instead. A split leadership system were more likely to survive the apocalypse than a single-headed administration. With the Ulysses project dead in the water, Greenway Hydroponics was forced to cut a deal and sell what research they had to the government. One half of the Ulysses research would be sent down to Mexico City to aid in the development of another managerial AI, while the other half was renamed Odysseus and sent to Tibbet's prison to serve as an AI to help assist the newly spreading new plague-infected citizens taken and quarantined inside the prison's vaults. Over time and under the management of Ulysses, the prison became more advanced, utilizing robotic wardens and utility robots to maintain the structure, especially as the war with China in the 2070s and the annexation of Canada began to drain personnel from the United States. All that changed with the end of the world. There we go. Okay. It's an event, a hope in the ash. Alright. In the new world brought on by the Great War, Odysseus for some time was able to continue as it had in the decades prior, fiddling away as it sent out robots to hunt down those infected by the plague. With the death of every living member of the prison eventually, as a result of the chain of command, took on every responsibility and title within the prison. It became warden, judge, and jury. Having to take on its many responsibilities will lead to the AI developing a bit of a split personality within its computer core. Thankfully, nothing as catastrophic as what would later develop in its twin Mexico City, if only because managing a prison was less stressful than managing the entire pre-war Mexico. It wasn't until the late 2240s that the serious problems began to occur for Tibbet's prison and Odysseus. Recovered terminal logs would point to several hundred occurrences of Limit 115 being reported through the entirety of the greater Colorado and Arizona area. It is worth noting that while the twin mothers and local nearby settler groups had some issues with the plague in this time period, it is nothing like what is reported in these logs. It seems that Odysseus either was tricked or had some sort of malfunction in regards to determining the severity of the new plague outbreaks across the wasteland. As a last-ditch attempt to try and remedy the situation, it attempted to house as many infected citizens as it could before forcibly melting down its own computer core, and thus the entire facility with it. This is what Tibbet's is how it is now, a burnt-out crater in the earth. Through weeks of study, we have, however, found an automated backup that Odysseus recorded of his computer core in the 2020s. If we were to find a suitable unit to upload this into, we could potentially try to bring a limited version of it back online once again. And we have Brother. And we add the soul of Odysseus grants research speed plus 30%. Oh, a lot of reading there. Which means I can now do the focus, the city of tomorrow. Who knows what we might find in Boulder? It was a legend even in Diana's time. Today, a gift beyond value. And I'll get the event, the city of tomorrow. And I'm just going to stop training my units up, because in about a month or so, my justification is going to be ready, and I'm going to go to war against the luminous ones. Alright, and here we have it, the first war of this episode. So this will hopefully be a easy endeavor. My Aircraft are already set up for the individual armies. Unfortunately, no navy to assist. There is a tiny little land crossing here. There's my pre-war infantry kit done. And piercing bows are shortest, so I'm going to do that one there. Just this little land bridge here at Fort Laramie doesn't allow me to have a naval force. I'm going to have to build a new squadron for up top here. But this is going as I thought, and I actually wanted to do this as the war started. I want to set up my next justification on the baggers, so we can move this thing along quite nice and quickly here. More arms factories I don't need, and it's just here. What do we have? More road building. That's good. Get that infrastructure up. Thinking about it. There we go. Alright, okay, volatile shack market oversight might be wise. Okay, I need to do the city of tomorrow. Read that out. There's no guarantee this is going to be done, so I might as well read it out now quickly. As Diana's robotic scouts approached the city of Boulder, they would spot a shadow that engulfed the city. A large futuristic sphere standing above a cliff, towering over it like a colossus. When Diana learned of this, she knew exactly what it was. It was Boulder Dome. Boulder, before the Great War, was long a place where advanced scientific research took place. Supported by money from Denver's industry and an active military presence, Boulder's scientists made advances in medicine. Biogel was invented here, alternative energy sources, robotics, and even developed a power armor prototype. Construction of the research dome was not considered until the nearby Rocky Mountain Arsenal had leakage of toxic waste, creating a poisonous cloud that swept through Denver, killing many. In reaction, the military funded a program to create a self-sustaining research dome, making it resistant to a nuclear attack and having a primary research inside be dedicated to the new plague. The city of the future was to be a prototype for settlements on the moon and other planets. Then the war with China began. Boulder became a hotbed of political activity, as most of the scientists were naturally suspicious of the military. When reports of plague outbreaks in Denver surfaced, many in Boulder feared that an exodus from that city would come and infect them. They fled north, the scientists staying in a cold sleep status deep within the dome. When the war started and the bombs were flying, Cheyenne Mountain, a military facility home to NORAD, was a primary target. A huge section of the mountains became a great radioactive smoking crater. Coupled with attacks on Denver and the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, Boulder was involuntarily included in a triangle of hellish death, yet over 170 years later, the dome still stands. It seems that in the interim, the seals keeping the hazardous materials within the dome have broken. Within a several-mile radius around the city, there being no living thing besides those creatures resistant to radiation, such as ghouls. What happened here to cause the city of tomorrow to start to fall apart? This place used to be so promising. Another event. Tomorrow lost. It didn't take long to discover what had happened here. It was all Presper's fault. Victor Presper, before the Great War, was a revolutionary for his time, a United States scientist who in the 2040s worked on designs that would eventually lead to the ZAC's artificial intelligence. When Diana was working as a scientist, she at times had chances to work in tandem with Presper as a colleague. He was infuriating to Diana. He showed up and he knew everything. Every new discovery she chanced on, he knew it better. Every novel idea she thought she had was a childish thought to him. It turns out that one of the scientists who had frozen themselves in time in Boulder was none other than Presper. The scientist, in his usual frustrating ways, used the on-site code conditional protocol to win the influence of the other frozen scientists at the base. treasure finders who tried to break into the dome, and anyone else he could find in order to build himself an army. There would be no more frozen scientists by the time Diana arrived, Presper either having indoctrinated, killed, or used them as experiments before taking everyone loyal and leaving for God knows where. Through the robotic scout's eyes, Diana could recognize familiar faces with bullet holes lodged in the front of their skulls. It would be no wrecking if Diana still had a nervous system. The only movement Diana's scouts could see within the city of tomorrow was the stumbling black-legged Black Mountain Company trauma suits, bodies still forced into locomotion through the suits' onboard motors. Still, there was at least one soul left within Boulder Dome to meet, the idle whir of a familiar machine close by. If only I had arrived a few years earlier. Boulder's last occupant. In the deepest chamber of Diana, in the deepest chamber of the city, Diana found another soul. It was a machine, like the twin Zacks that aided Diana's mind. This stood alone, a low whir emanating from its cooling unit. It never ran out of power, never had a critical failure. It simply ran out of memory. It seems that at some point in the post-war period, it had got itself into some sort of loop in regards to something called the Great Calculation. Attempting to solve this mystery caused it to lose all of its memory rapidly. It lost itself in self-actualization quadrantry until all that lingered in its mind were idle, out-of-memory requests, pulling at chords that weren't there, a slow blindness that gradually completely blanketed it. If the Boulder scientists had been around to help, they would have probably kept this from happening. But now the Boulder Zacks had gone silent. There was nothing that could be done. The Great Calculation had engulfed its mind so fully that it took up the entirety of its memory. To remove it would involve clearing the Zacks' mind fully. Diana reasonably had two choices she could do. She could attempt to reboot the Zacks, purge its memory and bring it back to the nursery, to act as a third computational agent alongside the twin Zacks she already had. Or alternatively, she could wipe the Zacks' memory and place the Odysseus machine back up within it, allowing the memory of her old brother to take over the machine. It would be nice to have family to talk to. Okay, so my brother's gone. I need the Zacks more than him, so we will get the event of the trifecta. Or I miss my brother. I don't want to be alone anymore. We will install the soul of Odysseus into Boulder Zacks, hopefully bring Odysseus back to the waking world. We'll remove the soul of Odysseus, and we'll get the event, the Greenway family, back together again. I want to do this one here. The Greenway family back together again. With a short installation, we would begin the effort to install the Odysseus backup we found in the ruins of Tibbets into the mainframe of the Boulder city of Boulder Zacks. At first, Odysseus was like a child, starting small as it expanded outwards in all directions within its digital space, trying to find what its boundaries were. It took some time before the old AI, bound in a newer shell, was able to speak in turn. It and Diana would share words, private banter between two siblings who had spent far too long separated. It was a lovely moment. So I'm going to enjoy having family to talk to, or I can say, as will I. This will change us over to a new nation, Odysseus, with a very small and simple focus tree. I am not going to do that. I'm going to have some family. And here we have our little place of Odysseus, just over here at Boulder City. Okay, so City of Tomorrow is done. Now I wanted to start on Come Fly With Me, but I don't have the satellite network yet, and I don't want to start building society here because these all cost a lot of political power. So instead I'm going to begin. I'm going to go for Rumble in the Jungle. Again, another event, Ecological Imbalance. The corrupted Gek has massively upset the ecological balance in the nursery. If we are able to restore order, we must make a choice, and do it fast. Shall we preserve the legacy of the old world, or take on the opportunity that Reese has given us? And with all that done, let's get back to war. The government idea Boldome has been removed because it's no longer fulfilled. Okay, it's still there. That's fine. My entire armor of 56 units is surrounding these people. Just get in there and get this done. There we go. Oh, so wait to actually wait for the war to be over. Okay, so I'll take care of that, take care of that. Take everything. And now, what do we have here? Okay, decision. Exploit Odysseus. Now, I don't like doing that. I'll take that one away. Research was here. I'm finishing off these ones. Let's do brick housing. Don't need the military factories. And let me set Diner's Cold up for another invasion against the beggars, which will be in how many days? 44. I'm not going to bother training anyone in that time. Alright, so an ecological imbalance. The nursery's gardens have been suffering from an amount of ecological imbalance ever since Miles Reese charmed his way into the nursery, only to steal a Gek from us and wreak havoc across the wasteland. As of late, by botanical creatures and other monstrosities from Reese's Gek threaten to upend the gardens from the pre-war wildlife living here. We have a choice to make on if we want to try to tame the plants living here, or give the native creatures a helping hand so they might bring back the intended order of this place. So it's important these animals have a place to live, and we have these new world plants might help our tribe survive though. Okay, now this is going to auto-complete here. Old world wildlife, new world fauna. I want to go for old world wildlife. That is what the whole purpose of the nursery was to protect the old wildlife for after the Great War. So going along that way. If you weren't sure, okay, if you follow down here, which I'm going to do, we'll eventually get the dogs unlocked, if I remember correctly. And if you go down this way, you'll get the monstrous plants like the Mojave chapter get when they go through the old world blues part of their focus tree. So first of all, I'm going to go for, because I still can't come fly with me, so I'm going to do avian preservation. Particular care must be taken in preserving the fragile avian ecosystem of the nursery, threatened by the aggressive new flora created by the corruption. Cleansing any traces of it inside the nursery should be enough to ensure their survival and set us back on our path of study into their psychology. So more stability, which is great, and I really want this is the cost reduction for air doctrine. Now before I carry on, I just wanted to show just how simple Odysseus focus tree is. This is it. There's nothing else to it. Okay. All it focuses on, there's no war goals. There we go. Okay, so hello world. It's all about getting political power and resources for the first part, and some arms factories. This is the only one here. It gets a C-27 humanoid robot, which is a unique robotic technology. All the rest is all about, again, resources and power, recording cost, and then strength of will. Again, more production, more. So industry will go very quickly, and you'll get these. I don't know if I've ever played with these before, but they must be awesome. But that's all you really get. Now my war should be in 4 days. See you very soon. Okay, and here we are again. Justification complete. Let me declare war. And so I don't forget, like I did last time, let me start my justification on the withered dogs. This one will only take 60 days for 12 political power. Oop. Bit of a challenge for my troops here to get that done in time, but I think it is entirely possible. Yes. This is just overwhelming them completely. Brick housing is finished. Let me do... yeah, let me get some population, because I've got the low population warning here. But frankly, what you can actually see here is I have too many troops to actually fit on each front line. That's why you've got this, looks like it's happening in 2 waves. And I guess not. What is this for then? Road building again. Okay, there and there. And all done. Again, I'm going to, I don't have a navy, so I'm going to select all, submit, confirm and exit, go away, and set up for the withered dogs. Now this way I'm going to get a very nice long border against the hangdogs, which I am currently planning at going on against in the next episode. And I'm also hoping that I'll just, the line will be too thin, I'll have enough units, and I'll just also be able to steamroll them. Okay, as fate would have it, avian preservation is completed, and I also have the 50 strength satellite network, so time to come fly with me. With the acquisition of such a wide satellite network and the wealth of information each contains, we were able to study pre-war aerial as well as spatial or spatial capabilities, and while we will never quite be able to launch our own subjects into orbit yet, we could use it on more advanced aeronautical military asset designs, and I'm going to get sophisticated air tech, which means I can turn this decision off. I can actually start saving my political power for other things, and I believe air doctrine time. I am going to go opportunistic offenses to get air bonuses, and more importantly, close attack support organization damage plus 15%. Unlock. There we go. Alright, so it is the withered dog's turn to be conquered by the cult of Diana. Justify. No, wrong one. Declare war. Done. I do have enough to declare on the Iron Alliance. Yes, I do, in 85 days. There will be, I think, my real challenge of all the 4 nations I'm going to conquer in this episode. Automatic encirclement there of 5 units. That is fantastic. If I can carry on fighting like this against the hangdogs, I might even have enough confidence to go up against Kaiser. Okay, yes. Let's build some Infrastructure. Oh, thinking about it, April Fools on 2285. They're just out of supply. My troops are moving too fast. Oh, I'm also running low supplies. I'm going to have to work on some transport aircraft. There we go, another encirclement, another 6 units. Got some resistance, get damage screening done. Let's start from the bottom, work our way up. Let's do damage control. More infrastructure. And okay. Dookie, your people go in there. And then Ruth, you make your way in here, because that is all I should actually need to take everybody out. There we are. A lot more guns. Still no navy. And let's get ready for this. I'm sure they're going to be more of a challenge. Having power armor and all that. And basic training appointments. I'm not going to be able to use that. But I've got the extra command power, so I might as well at least get a little bit out of it. Alright, so come fly with me is done. I now have sophisticated air tech. So yeah, not going to do those. Lanus doesn't exist right now. I'm going to move on to simian preservation. The hideous fauna created by Reese's creation kit threatens even the simian preservation section of the nursery to an extent we cannot tolerate. Our robotic divisions will relentlessly hunt down and incinerate any traces of those biological abominations ever existed, then resettle the said simians into their habitats for study once again. So, some more stability, and this time research bonus on tool procurement. Alright, my simian friends are saved, so let me finish off here with Strength of the Wild. Our continuous analysis of pre-war DNA sequences and its possible applications in genetic manipulations have led us to an extremely interesting breakthrough. It seems like the sequence of the common wasteland dog is close enough to the pre-war tiger to allow splicing. If done, this could make them considerably more effective in combat. Add technology, Call of the Wild. And last but not least, it is time to take on the Iron Alliance. This will be the first nation that I've taken on with power armor. Now, I'm not sure what level they're at, but thankfully for me, I have researched my Tesla cannons, missile launchers, and heavy incinerators. So taking them on should not be an issue. So let me declare my war. And let's get going. Okay. Some red's turning to green. Okay, definitely having to fight hard here. You guys go in there. Oh, okay, quick pause. Let me terraform Rock Springs. I should actually have a look what that decision was before I did that. Oh well. Oh, looks like we might get an encirclement here. I love it when the AI does it all by itself. Yes, I am started to research some transport aircraft. There we go, nice encirclement there. So Dookie, no, not all of Dookie. Let's just take these ones here. There we are. Otherwise we'll let this line very undefended. Speaking of my transport gliders, there they are. I can jump straight to cargo planes. And let me start their production. Let's put it here under my... Whoop. How have I got these things ordered? Oh, well, let's put it under my CAS. Full stack of 5, and we can take those 5 there. Brilliant. And this focus is road building. Sorry, not focus, decision. And okay, yeah. New settings captured. Another trade note for me, although money is definitely not a problem. Okay. What? Okay, just get all those guys just to move in there. Oh, there's little, what, they must go inside there. There's so many of my troops, I didn't even see that they had encircled a bunch of enemy. Okay, let's take out plate crossings there. And Mr. Gutsies wasn't expecting to see those there. And here we are, Cult of Diana, nice and big. And my little brother Odysseus sitting there nicely. And I think that is where I'm going to end this episode off. So the next one, we'll take on the hangdogs and finish off the focus tree. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.